Hey guys, I'm Jessica Mitri, and this is the Mitri Exposé. Welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time I drop new content. Now, I have something that I've been working on for a little bit now, and we need to talk about the American dream because she's dead. Let's get into it. So recently, I saw this commercial. You know, the classic immigrant family, parents who sold everything that they had to come to America with nothing, sacrificed everything for their kid. And that kid grew up to be a CEO. That was the promise. That was the deal. And one income was enough to raise an entire family on. Work hard enough, sacrifice enough, and you build something. My great grandparents made that same bet, and my grandparents got to live it, a house, a car, a life they built with their own hands. My generation, our generations, we're not living it. Not even close. Not because I don't think you don't already feel this. I just want to get into some details to make it make sense. So let's start with how this actually feels day to day. I got quoted over $700 a month for state minimum basic liability for car insurance. That's right. That's pre-COVID rent for car insurance every single month. Speaking of rent, for a basic 2-bedroom apartment, if you're lucky, you're paying $1,500, not including gas and electric. You'll be lucky if one or the other is included. And a jug of laundry soap, Tide specifically, is $20 for soap. And every time someone brings this up, the same answer comes. It's just inflation. No, this isn't just inflation. This is extraction. Think about what's actually being extracted. This planet already has everything we need to thrive: clean water, fertile land, energy in the ground and in the sun. Enough of it for all of us to live well. But somewhere along the way, it got poisoned, bottled up, fenced off, and sold back to us at a price most of us can't afford. Water that fell from the sky for free is sitting in plastic bottles for over $2. Land that used to build generational wealth, now leveraged into someone else's portfolio. Gas to get to the job you need to pay to get the gas. A home, the most basic human need, turned into an asset class for people who already owned 12 of them. We were not born broke. We were extracted from. And that's why so many of us feel like we are killing ourselves just to barely scrape by, working 2 or 3 jobs, skipping meals so the kids don't have to. That's the reality for millions of us. Falling asleep doing math on bills that don't even math. That's not laziness. That is not a generation that doesn't work hard enough. This isn't the American dream. This is the American reality. And I want to show you exactly how it happened. Let's go back to August of 1971. President Nixon takes the dollar off the gold standard for the first time in American history. Our money isn't backed by anything you can actually hold in your hand. It's backed by trust. That's right. Trust me, bro, said the government. Trust me, bro, said the Federal Reserve. And once money isn't tied to something that is actually real, it can just be created. More of it whenever they need to. That's not even a conspiracy. That's just monetary policy. Every dollar created without creating new wealth makes the dollars you already have more worthless. Wealth in this country has been concentrated at the top ever since. And COVID didn't start it. COVID poured gasoline on a fire that has been burning for 50 years. Right now, the top 1% of Americans hold about 31% of this country's wealth. And then the bottom half of America, 165 million people, hold 2.5%. Let that sink in for a second. 2.5% split between half the country. Now, let me break it down so it's easier understood. I was a little confused when I was doing my research. So, picture 100 people standing in a room. That room holds all of America's wealth. One person in that room is holding a third of everything. One person. The next 49 people, that's your doctors, your small business owners, your 2-income households who did everything right. They're splitting it up, most of what's left. And the last 50 people, the other half of the room, they're fighting over pocket change. And that's not a metaphor, that's actual math. One person holds more than the bottom 50 combined times 12. The average millennial has 30% less wealth at age 35 than baby boomers did at the same age. At age 30, about 1 in 3 millennials own a home. At the same age, roughly half of baby boomers did. My grandparents built something with their hands. What exactly are we supposed to build on? Let me be very clear about something. In America, the government is supposed to answer to you, to me, and not the other way around. That's not my opinion. That is our Constitution. So when the hell did it flip? 2010. The Supreme Court hands down a ruling called Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission. The court ruled that corporations have the same free speech rights as you do, which means they could spend unlimited money trying to win elections. That was the day your vote got an asterisk next to it. And it didn't stop with elections. There's a thing called the revolving door. People who write the laws that regulate an industry used to work in that industry, and then they're done in the government. They go right back to it, same people, same money, just switching seats. Thomas Jefferson saw this coming 200 years ago. In a letter written in 1816, Jefferson said this: I hope we shall take warning from the example and crush it in its birth, the aristocracy of our moneyed corporations, which dare already to challenge our government to a trial of strength and to bid defiance to the laws of their country. Read that again. He saw a moneyed aristocracy forming and he wanted to crush it before it could grow. It grew anyway. Your citizenship is supposed to be your power in this country, not your bank account. They didn't just steal the dream. They bought the house it lived in. You want to know why you can't find the truth on TV anymore? Because the people we've been talking about, they bought that too. This didn't happen overnight. Go back to 1996. Congress passes the Telecommunications Act. It deregulates media ownership across this country. And for 30 years, the consolidation hasn't stopped. Oracle's acquisition of TikTok has closed. The Skydance Paramount merger has closed. Warner Bros. Discovery's sale, including CNN and HBO, is pending. A handful of corporations now control most of what Americans watch, read, and listen to. And every time one of these deals closes, that handful gets smaller. Here's something else worth knowing. For 64 years, there was a law that banned the government from distributing State Department controlled domestically content. In 2012, Congress repealed that ban. That's documented fact. That's the means going forward is still being argued. And the wall that used to exist, well, it's gone. And it's not new. In 1975, a state investigation called the Church Committee confirmed something people had suspected for decades. The CIA had relationships with American journalists and news organizations, planting stories, shaping coverage. That's not a rumor. That is a declassified Senate hearing, Senate finding. So don't act shocked that the legacy media can be compromised. It's documented. But here's the harder truth. A lot of alternate media isn't clean either. Some independent channels are funded by the same donors, the same interests as the outlets they claim to expose. Being outside the mainstream doesn't make you honest. It just makes you outside the mainstream. So use your discernment. Follow the money on both sides, including mine. So when the news tells you everything is fine, I want you to ask, who owns the network? Who funds their advertisers? Who benefits from your confusion? They didn't just buy the government, guys. They bought the megaphone, which is exactly why I'm talking to you through mine. So what do we do with all of this? I'm not going to sell you a revolution in a YouTube video, but I'll tell you what I know. This isn't unprecedented. America has broken up untouchable power before. 1911. The Supreme Court breaks up Standard Oil. One company controlling nearly the entire oil industry split into 34 companies. And in 1982, the government broke up AT&T. One company controlling nearly all phone service in America. Split it apart. We've done this more than once. Nobody is too big to answer to the law. Not then and not now. There are 935 billionaires in this country, approximately. There are 335 million of us, approximately. The math isn't complicated, guys, but the math only works one way, together. There's more of us than there is of them. There always has been. And here's why I keep coming back to that word, together. Reason one, the rent doesn't check your voter registration. The $700 car insurance bill doesn't care who you voted for. Extraction doesn't have a party. Reason number two, Citizens United didn't just buy one side, it bought both. The revolving door spins the same for red administrations and blue ones. Reason three, the media that's supposed to expose this consolidated too, and it profits every single time you're too busy hating your neighbor to notice who's hating both of you equally. Reason four, the 935 people cannot out-organize 335 million, but they can outlast a divided one. Divide and conquer only works if we let it. Their power depends on one thing, that we stay confused, divided, and pointing at each other like a Spider-Man meme. Left versus right, black versus white, immigrant versus born here, while the people who built this system watch us fight over the scraps they left behind. This is not a left issue. This is not a right issue. This is a people issue. Citizens United needs to be overturned. The revolving door between corporations and government needs to be welded shut. And the truth needs to travel faster than the money trying to bury it. That's why citizen journalists exists. That's why I'm here. Your great-grandparents didn't cross oceans and build this country so that 935 people could own it. Think about that. Question everything. Research everything. And talk to everybody. Because the person across the aisle from you, they can't afford their rent either. I'm Jessica Mitri. This is the Mitri Exposé. I love you. Stay safe and question everything. Until next time, guys.